938-334-31584. Password: capital V, capital G, capital J, 4, capital S, capital U, G, 5, C, capital F, L, I, capital R, capital V, capital F, Y, capital R, 2, capital F, capital T, capital N, capital H, P, capital I, capital N, capital D, capital R, capital X, capital U, capital T, 09. And by audio, 929-205-6099 with a webinar ID 938-3343-1584 and the special audio only passcode 522-59162 to continue its work and discuss future plans of the task force. Per order, Honorable Taisha Walker-Myers, Chair, attest Michael Smart, City Clerk. For disability-related accommodations, please call 203-946-7651 or 203-946-8582 TTY prior to the meeting. To view the meeting, go to Board of Alders YouTube channel or https://newhavenct.zoom.us/938-3343-1584. Password: capital V, capital G, capital J, 4, capital S, capital U, G, 5, C, capital F, L, I, capital R, capital V, capital F, Y, capital R, 2, capital F, capital T, capital N, capital H, P, capital I, capital N, capital D, capital R, capital X, capital U, capital T, 09. You may send in public testimony by emailing publictestimony@newhavenct.gov no later than 2 p.m. the day of the meeting. And we will introduce ourselves, and I will call on you according to what I see on the screen. I am Taisha Walker-Myers, President of the Board of Alders. Michael?
Thank you, President Walker-Myers. Michael Gormley, City Acting Controller.
Kathy?
Good afternoon, Kathy Graves, trustee of the SURF Board and Deputy Economic Development Director for the city.
Thank you. And while we're looking through the audience to see if any other members of the task force is here, I wanted to get the task force back started because we all know that pensions is a really important part of our budget. So the purpose of the pension task force is to identify different ways to fulfill the obligation we have to our employees in regards to pensions and identifying best practices across the country to deal with the rising cost of pensions and the underfunded liability. I've been talking to different pension experts. And if you have any additional names of people that we should contact and talk to, please let me know. Send an email to Al Lucas. We sent some background information on some pension practices for your reading. And by the next meeting, everyone please read that so we can have a real meaningful discussion about the information. And if we receive more info between now and the next meeting, we will make sure we forward it out. We're going to try to meet on the fourth Monday at 3:30. So that is May 24th. If you have your calendars, please put that meeting in, and I will have Al Lucas also send out to all task force members the schedule of the meetings and the times and the other information. So that is why I gathered us here today. I wanted to get it back started, and we had some conversations when we first started the pension task force. But I think it's really necessary that we continue to have these conversations because we know that this is one of the major drivers of our city budget. So you can chime in, Kathy or Mike, if you have anything to contribute this far, you can chime right in.
Thank you, President Walker Myers. No, I think this. Go ahead, Kathy. I'll let you go. I know you're on your cell phone. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I read those articles and I've been doing further research, particularly on the pension obligation bonds. And it's a 50-50 chance. We can go into it in our next meeting, but there are pros and cons to that. Basically, those articles were about the pension obligation bonds. But what I'm going to suggest we do is speak with other pension funds that are in our situation, public pension funds that are in our situation, and see how they're handling it, or they were in our position and how they did handle it.
Yes, that's a very good suggestion. So it's a number of different ways, like with anything else that we can use to tackle our issue, and the pension obligation bonds is just one way. I also was doing a lot of research on that. If you could remember the last time it came up, I was doing a lot of research on the pros and cons of that. So I just think that it's worth having a discussion if that's where we are, to look at that option again. But I agree, it's a lot of different best practices out there that I don't think we actually thought about before. So this is a perfect opportunity to think about some of those innovative things that people are doing across the country.
Absolutely. So I can start kind of getting an idea of some pension funds, and not just limited to Connecticut, but pension funds that have experienced what we've experienced. And maybe we can set up some calls to talk to them.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I think Kathy said it best. Is that's sort of around what I was going to say also, is that, I think looking at best practices and again, looking at different options, because there are pros and cons to a lot of them. We also have to look at the investment strategies and working with with both boards, the SURF and the PNF board, because again, those are strategies that those boards adopt, and just seeing how we can bolster those funds. I think that's our number one goal here, is to look at that without really adding on a lot of liability onto the city. So, my opinion, and just looking at it, briefly, I did read the articles briefly too, and I think, getting some other opinions is definitely the right way we should look at it with this board.
Because with those bonds, timing is everything. So you have a 50-50 chance. So I think we should continue to explore our options. It doesn't mean we may not come back to that, but we should certainly explore our options.
Well,
absolutely.
Yeah, Kathy, that's a great suggestion. And I think also looking at it from the financial side of it, from just the accounting side, which is my area there, besides as a trustee of SURF, I think also we have to look at it. It all depends on the structure of the pension obligation bond too, because really what you're doing is you're taking the unfunded liability, but you're adding a debt service liability on the other side of the ledger. And in a perfect world, the structure would be is you're lowering your ADEC payment enough for savings and to cover that new debt liability. And that's the way you really want to look at it.
And the optimum would be to create that perfect arbitrage.
Correct.
So if we could get that perfect arbitrage, timing is really key.
Oh, something happened. I don't see me. I can't see. Oh, okay.
We see you. Yep.
Oh, you can still see me? Okay, so I did something. I don't know about technology, so I did something where I can't see anybody, but I I think that both of you guys are correct. I think we have to look at numerous ways. We know it's going to be different chances no matter what we decide to do, but I think it's worth exploring all of it. I think we have to figure out how we fulfill our obligation to the employees we have, and going forward, figure out what structure, we will have around the pensions that can make it sustainable. So I think that's really important.
And I think one of our challenges at this point is that they were underfunded for so long, and a large piece of our payment is just trying to catch it up,
Right.
which is unfortunate. So
Right.
we'll explore different options and see what's the best option for us. I mean, I'd even thought about what type of impact it would make if we went into a defined contribution option. But
Yeah.
you still have the expense of Social Security, but it might be, once again, it might be that perfect arbitrage for us. We might be fixing our payments.
Right. Right. It's a number. I've been looking at so much stuff in regards to this pension. And plus you get different insights when you talk to different people that's been dealing with the pension structure for a really long time.
Yep.
People that's been dealing with the New Haven pension structure and others. I think it's a whole bunch of information out there that we just have to capture and decide as a group what we're going to do for our city to ensure that, the obligation we have to people, we fulfill. And I think you're correct that for so long, it wasn't funded all the way. And then, for a while, people didn't know what the underfunded liability even looked like until that law changed. And now it's like right there, and it's shocking. So I think the more conversations we have with the number of different people that's out there, we have to be able to come up with something. I think that'd be really good for the city. So I appreciate everyone being a part of the task force and willing to have the hard conversations, because when we're talking about pensions, healthcare, anything like that, it's hard conversations, right? But I think it's necessary, and we're at a point where we can't continue running from the conversation anymore. We have to really deal with it. So I appreciate all the work that you guys will put in to make sure that our city, is functioning in the proper way.
You're welcome.
So Kathy, you're going to reach out to a couple of people that you know as well, and then we can set up some calls. I think that'd be good. We can set up calls. We can do it, whenever you guys really want to, right? It's up to us how much we put into this, and I'm willing to put in as much as possible. And we can even have people join us through Zoom, right? We're on Zoom right now.
Exactly.
Here, and we won't have to worry about travel expenses and things like that. So I think having an open conversation with the experts, as I would say, is going to be very informative and important for the entire group and the public that's watching.
I agree.
I agree.
And as long as we do our proper due diligence, we can really make decisions based on knowledge.
Did you say something else, Michael?
Oh, no, I just said I agree. I agree with everything. Yep.
All right, so that was the purpose of today. So we all have our homework, and it's great because we read the articles already. So that's really important that got the information and you read it. So I'm going to be gathering more information before we meet again, so we can have further discussions around it. I actually have a meeting, I want to say Wednesday, scheduled with someone that is very versed in pensions, that's been following our pension for the last 30 years. So I'm going to be meeting with them as well, just to see what other ideas could possibly be out there. The pension obligation bonds, as you know, Michael, came out of one of the budget years when it was proposed. And at that time, I was looking a lot into it and what the benefits was, and decided that wasn't probably the best thing for the city at that time. But now we're in a different position. Who knows? It might still not be the best option, or it might, but I think the more information we get, we could decide on that.
Absolutely.
So I already gave everybody when the next meeting will be. I will have Al follow up and send out the meeting dates going forward. And if we change and decide to have more meetings in between that, I'll add that too. Because that's definitely a possibility. I'll make sure we get out any and all information that we get in between now and our meeting date. And Kathy will talk to some of the experts that she know looking at best practices around too, and get that information to the group so that everyone in the group, and everybody couldn't join us today, but to make sure everyone in the group have the information, because the next time we meet, we'll have our full task force here ready to engage in the information.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to thank everybody, and I want to thank everybody for coming today. We really appreciate it. And I have to do this the formal way, so I'm gonna take a motion to adjourn.
So,
Second.
And I hear a second discussion on adjourning. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? No, we are adjourned. Thank you very